Welcome along to Babble.ie, your new home of sport and entertainment in Tipperary. We're here in Thurles at the Anner Hotel ahead of the All-Ireland Senior Hurling Final replay against Kilkenny. And we're going to head inside now and hear from the Tipperary Management Team. We're joined by the man himself, Tipperary Senior Hurling Manager Eamon O'Shea. Eamon, you've had time to reflect on the first game. What are the main issues or concerns that came out of that game?
Well, after a game like that, you have to have time to recover a bit. So the first thing is just get your recovery in, and then just go back to the training pitch, and see what you can do, if you can do something better, and try and work on a few things. And you can't work on a lot of things, not a lot of time. So you just try to get back and getting down to brass tacks again.
128 was heavy scoring. Did you think perhaps if you were told before the game if you scored that much that you could win it?
Yeah, never against the opposition we play because it's such a good team, and you aim at this stage to score as much as you can. It is a really good score, but they put on a really good score as well. So when you're playing a top class opposition, and these are the top opposition you can get, you really have to stay working the whole time to try to keep the scoreboard ticking over. And I mean, that's a challenge for us the next day.
As a coach, you're very detailed in your preparation and your analysis. When you look back at the drawn game, what were the main aspects you took from it?
I think overall, from our point of view, it was a really good performance. I think many of our players played at a very high spec. We're very pleased about that. Every day you go out, then there are things that perhaps don't come off or that you don't execute. We obviously looked at a couple of issues that we feel we have to focus on. We did concede 3 goals. That's a fact, and also the opposition had a number of other goal chances, so we'll be looking at that. And then on the other side of the coin, I suppose we had probably 6 or 7 goal chances. We actually scored 1, so you have to look at that issue as well.
How do you manage the 3-week gap between the drawn game and the replay from a conditioning point of view?
Yeah, I think obviously we had to. There's no sort of manual out there to say this is what you should do in the 3 weeks between an All-Ireland final and an All-Ireland replay. And I think if you probably looked at all the people who've done it in the last few years, they'll all have a different answer to it. So we just look back at what the guys had done over the last couple of months and maybe try and get the balance right between work and rest. I think we immediately got into it in terms of recovery right after the game, doing a proper warm down, and then the day after to do a recovery session. And myself and Lucas, who works with me, and the management team had a discussion around the plan for the 3 weeks, and we planned it out to try and do a little bit of work and get the recovery at the right time then.
We've spoken to the management team about how they manage a 3-week break and the logistics involved with that. For a county board, how does it impact on you guys?
Well, it impacts in many ways, I suppose. Something in advance, you never prepare for replay. You always know it's a possibility, but you never prepare for it in any way, in terms of making fixtures or CCC, involved in that area. So you're not prepared for that, so it sets a whole new, probably, agenda, I suppose, in that regard. Just a headache, but just kind of a nice kind of a headache to have, I suppose. And we're very lucky in Tip in regard to our administration in terms of Lorna Parker, we have excellent staff there, and the county board officers, I suppose, all throw their weight in behind whatever has to be done in that. And but it's a busy time, extremely busy time, and but busy in a nice way.
Final question, Eamon. On the morning of the game, did you feel that a big performance was coming? And maybe a second question to that: how do you try to? I know there's no guarantee, but what steps do you put in place to try and ensure that a performance comes?
Yeah, well, the team have been pretty consistent now, and I think you're pretty consistent in terms of the way they prepare for games, in terms of their overall performance, in terms of their overall commitment. Over a period of, I would say probably 4 or 5 months, even though we've had a hiccup against Limerick, beaten by a very outstanding Limerick team, I would say, and. So even with that game, we've been reasonably consistent in terms of performances, a little bit up and down, even in that last period of 5 months. But at the same time, we've been working hard, and I think that's where your belief system comes from. You see it there, and you think, this is okay, this is working. The guys are working hard, and they're doing their very best to be the best they can. that's all you can ask for on any given day, and that's when we have to go again to the well and see what we can dig up the next day. But as always, it's in the players' hands.
Eamon, you're a busy man. Thanks for your time. From all at Babble.ie, we wish you all the very, very best for the replay.
Yeah, thank you.
There you have it, folks, the views from the Tipperary Senior Hurling Camp ahead of the All-Ireland final replay against Kilkenny. For more like this, visit www.babble.ie, your new home of sport and entertainment in Tipperary. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter.